Hey guys, this is a part 2 of our How to Qualify a Prospect series. And in this video, we're gonna go in depth in finding out if a client is a great fit to work with you or not. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so before we start, I just wanted to quickly introduce myself. My name is Alex. I am the founder of Elite Closers Club. It's a group mentoring program that helps you develop your sales skills, take them from this to that. Literally, sales, it's a life learning career, so there's always something for you to learn, and we basically help you develop those skills over and over again so that you're on your A game. We decided to share some of the tips with you in this channel as a way to give back to the community so that you can use them immediately in your sales career. So I hope you like this video. If you do, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us grow our viewership. Okay, let's get right into the video. So in my previous video, I explained all about why and how you end up wasting a lot of time talking to the wrong prospect. You end up getting the appointment, and then you start talking to them. At the end of the day, you find out that you just left with a whole bunch of objections and they don't buy from you. So you're kind of setting yourself up for failure from the get-go. So I will link that video below for your convenience, but basically here's the recap. Your prospects are really not turning you down because your pricing is too expensive or your offer doesn't meet their needs. The hard truth about this is that they're turning you down is because they're not that into you. It's as simple as that. Now, don't take it personally. I often compare sales to dating, and in dating, of course, you with some people you have this instant connection and everything goes well and there is some sort of a chemistry going on. But with others, right from the get-go, they're just not a good fit, right? And that's exactly what happens in sales as well. So how do you know that the prospect is good enough to date or not, right? How do you know that? Well, in the sales world, it's called qualification process, right? And basically all that means is that you just ask them a whole bunch of questions to see if they would be a good fit to work with you or not. And I gotta tell you, in my 2+ decades of sales experience, I sold in many different industries. I sold in travel industry, in medical industry, insurance, car sales, oil and gas, advertising, consulting sales. And I do have to say, this is probably one of those amazing tips that's a complete game changer. When I started really qualifying my clients or potential clients and stopped talking to the wrong people, my conversion rate went up dramatically, like crazy. I'll give you an example. So I was selling a YouTube ads course, right? So it's a course, you sell it one-to-one. It's a $5,000 product, so it's a high-ticket item. When people booked calls with me, I got excited because, I was doing 5-6 calls per day. Phenomenal, right? Like, you have a lot of leads coming in. That's great. And I was spending about 30 to 40 hours talking to these people, but my closing ratio was super low. It was like 15%. Really nothing to write home about. So I was trying to improve it, and what I started doing is I implemented a very strict qualification process. So basically, I tried to weed out all the people I don't want to talk to before they book a call with me. So my calls, the number of calls dropped dramatically to like 3 to 4 calls per day. But guess what happens as a result? My closing ratio went to 80%. Crazy, 80%. So basically, like 8 out of 10 people ended up buying. And then I ended up selling something like 50 grand compared to 15 grand the previous month, right? That's like more than double increase in actual sales, right? All just because I qualified them a little bit better. It's absolutely insane. So you decide, obviously, if this is important or not, but I'm telling you, it's a huge huge time saver and money saver for you, because wasting your time is not that great. So what are these questions specifically? How do you ask them? What do you do? So here are some of the main questions that I come back over and over again. There's a ton more. Obviously, this is just a sample of what you can do. But at the end of the day, these ones are very common, and they're very common to many different industries. So that's why I wanted to bring them up. You can kind of ask similar questions in other industries as well. So the first thing I always find out, are they the decision maker? So this happens very, very often when you end up talking to an assistant who has no decision-making power, and they end up basically forcing you to do sales calls 2 times. Once with the assistant, the other one is with the boss. So that's a dumb way of doing it. I much rather convince the assistant to talk to their boss and get them to jump on a call with me, right? Obviously, there is some overlap here because you need to do it in a sensitive way. You don't want to piss off the assistant. However, it's really, really, really important for you not to waste time with wrong people. The second thing I very often ask is, what is the nature of your business? Learn about their business specifically. The reason why this is important is because not all businesses are made alike, and not all offers are made alike. Some of them are very difficult to deliver on, right? I'll give you an example. So let's say you're working with a Coca-Cola, right? And all Coca-Cola wants is exposure. So let's say you're an advertising business like me. All they want is exposure. So you need to run their advertising and show it to as many people as you can. Not that difficult. However, if you're talking to somebody who has an e-commerce store and they want sales, getting actual sales versus just showing your ad to somebody is much more difficult, right? So both are in advertising business, but very different characteristic of the client. So you kind of need to decide what's right for your business and figure out how you can get that right fit for your particular business. And when they're not the right fit, I highly recommend you just let them go, because getting the wrong client can be just as expensive as wasting time with people that I mentioned before. So another thing that I say very, very often is I start asking questions about their revenue. So revenue numbers is one of those very interesting things that tell you exactly how serious they are about working with you. I'll explain why. So money is a sensitive subject. By the way, most people who have problem asking about money are mostly salespeople because they think they're going to offend the other person. But it's actually not true. A person who is serious about working with you, they will actually want to tell you all their numbers because, number one, they're proud of their business. Number two, they actually know that if they're going to find a true solution to their problem, they need to be transparent, right? So rule of thumb for me, at least, is that if somebody refuses to tell you their revenue numbers, I disqualify them right away simply because it's an indication that they're going to be difficult to work with, right? If at the small level they're not willing to share information with you, at a big level they're going to be problematic. So I literally just cut the conversation short. Now, another good question to ask along the same lines is how much they're willing to invest in something like your product or service. So for example, if I'm selling a course and my course is $5,000 and I'm asking them, how much are you willing to invest in your education? And they tell me, well, I was thinking something like $1,000. It's very hard to go from 1,000 to 5,000. So to me, that's an indication that they either don't have the money or they're just not valuing what I'm saying too much. So at that point, I cut it short. If they tell me, yeah, like I've bought a course for $10,000 just previous month. Beautiful. It's an indication that they're ready to go, they're serious about it, and they're probably going to be a really good student as well. There's a ton of other things you can ask. Like for example, in my agency, I always ask about how their offer is priced, right? Because I want to know the details about pricing structure they're using, because I know that some pricing structures work really well. Other pricing structures do not work well. And the reason why I'm asking for that is because I can suggest something better based on my experience and come out to them as an expert, right? Or they will perceive me as an expert if I give them really good advice. Another question that I ask very often is how much they invest in advertising to begin with. And that's one of those things that separates beginners from people who are more advanced. So for example, if I ask them and they invest $1,000 a month, that's not a lot. We invest $500,000 per month. So clearly they're a beginner, and we as an agency have a policy of not to work with beginners. So now I know that I need to disqualify them or downsell them to our course. Obviously, these are just some of the questions, and you're gonna end up coming up with your own that specifically relate to your business. But the basic idea is that these type of qualification questions should reduce the waste of time dramatically for you, and by wasting less time you can spend more time at talking to qualified people and closing a lot more dollars. I hope you really liked this video. If you did, please subscribe, like, and share this video. And we come up with these videos all the time. Please stay tuned and see you next time. Thanks.